Rocket sources told Tim McMahon, though, that Kevin Durant to the Rockets talks were initiated by the Phoenix Suns. So does that mean the Rockets wouldn't be interested in Kevin Durant? The NBA trade deadline came and went without the Houston Rockets making a major move, but people are focusing on possibilities that have presented themselves thanks to the absolute disaster, at least relative to expectations, that the Phoenix Suns with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal have been. We've heard that the Rockets potentially are interested in both Durant and Booker. And yesterday, in a report by ESPN basketball writer Tim McMahon, we learned the Rockets have expressed interest in Devin Booker, but that the Suns shut them down. And it's the Suns owner that's shutting them down. This same Suns owner, Matt Ishbia, who does not want the Suns to go into a rebuild phase. Well, I think it's going to happen. But Ishbia on a Booker trade, quote, never happened. It's silly, end quote. So Devin Booker, it seems far-fetched, but I did find it interesting that someone who covers the Suns this week brought up that 3 first-round picks and a player with a lot of upside could potentially be a package that the Suns would consider entertaining when it comes to a Devin Booker trade. We discussed this earlier in the week. I don't think that Devin Booker is 3 first-round picks better than Jalen Green. 3 Suns first-round picks better, especially than Jalen Green with the direction they seem to be going in and how checked out they all seemed when we watched that Rockets-Suns game earlier this week. But they have at least, the Rockets, reached out about Devin Booker. And when it comes to Kevin Durant's future, everyone thinks that Durant will be traded this offseason. They discussed a Durant trade at the deadline along with 3 other teams. Those 3 other teams are the Warriors, T-Wolves, and Heat. Heard about them a lot. Didn't really hear anything about the Rockets on that front. But the Rockets, they did have trade discussions about Kevin Durant. Here's the difference, though, with Devin Booker. Devin Booker, they called about. Rocket sources told Tim McMahon, though, that Kevin Durant to the Rockets talks were initiated by the Phoenix Suns. So does that mean the Rockets wouldn't be interested in Kevin Durant? I don't think so, just given Ime Udoka's history with him and the fact that a lot of Rockets players work with him, and I think he likes a lot of the guys who are on the Rockets. He's complimented them before. Doesn't rule it out, but I think it's noteworthy that the Suns were reaching out about a Kevin Durant to Houston trade. The Rockets were not doing the other way around.
Yeah, at the deadline, we knew that the Suns had initiated the talks with the Warriors, and Durant eventually said, "No, I don't want to go back to Golden State." And Golden State was like, "We don't want upset Kevin Durant on our team, so we're not going to make this trade." I think it's possible that, or I guess reading between the lines. This is how I read between the lines with this Tim McMahon piece. At the trade deadline, Suns shopping Durant around. They ask these 4 teams, including the Rockets. The Rockets pick up the phone. They get asked about Kevin Durant, and they go, "Not sure about Kevin Durant. What about Devin Booker?" And that's where the owner goes, "This is stupid," or whatever he said. It was like, not happening. And then maybe they had additional discussions about Durant, but it seemed, how I would take that is that the Rockets, when they're presented with Durant, asked about Booker.
That sounds right.
Which is how they should be approaching, is
totally agree.
The guy who's 28 as opposed to 36, 37. So, yeah, we can talk about, the price and what they should or shouldn't do eventually down the road. Do you think that Kevin Durant or that this team is a Kevin Durant away? Do you think this team is a Devin Booker away? Being a Devin Booker away gives you a longer runway to eventually get to that point.
But you have to give up more to get that Devin Booker.
Exactly. You're going to have to give up more to get him, where Durant is going to be a little bit more short-term of a piece as well, because his contract expires at the end of next season, which also means that Kevin Durant will probably have a hand in picking where he wants to go.
He will.
So that,
and I think this is probably tops. I don't think Durant would want to play somewhere more than he would here. And the way I would sell it to him is, look, dude, you've never won it on your own before. This would be viewed as you winning it on your own. Say you are the finishing piece. I don't know if he is. I just think that if he comes here, people would look at that as a, wow, he went to Texas. He comes back to Texas. Durant, unfortunately, despite being clearly one of the two best players in the NBA for over the last decade, it's him and LeBron. And there have been moments where Durant was better than LeBron. But unfortunately, everyone's like, oh, yeah, well, he took the coward's way out and joined the Warriors after they beat him in a 7-game series with the Thunder.
Yeah.
This is a storybook ending.
That is definitely a way that Kevin Durant could see things, because I don't Kevin Durant, famously, kind of hard guy to read. He'll tell you what he's thinking.
He's honest, but
if you don't know what he's thinking, it's hard to guess. With the thinking that he didn't want to go back to Golden State, that would be consistent with your line of reasoning, where if he wants to do it on his own, he doesn't want to go back to the only place he ever won the title. If those same issues are keeping him from going back there this year, then maybe he is looking for something new. He's looking for something on the other end of the spectrum, which would be coming to a Rockets team who, this April will be the first time any of their young guys, most of the roster plays in a playoff game.
Yeah.
So he will be the leader. He'll be viewed as like the, alpha of a team if he's on the Rockets. The question is that what Kevin Durant wants? Is that what Kevin Durant wants the most? Does he think he can get that same kind of juice from going to these other teams on this list? Minnesota. Would it be viewed as him and Ant? Or
yes.
Would it be that? So you just got to have to put yourself in Kevin Durant's mind, which is a hard thing to do.
Miami, I guess, is a theoretical, but are they close to winning? No. I think that the East is now what the West was. The East is,
it's just so top heavy. That's the problem.
Yeah.
To be better than the Celtics or Cavs, it's like you got to be a really good team. I mean, the Knicks are a good team, and they have no chance when they get on the same court as those guys. So the Miami Heat, they would have to keep Bam and Hero for it to even, for you to be able to talk me into it. They can't trade Adebayo or Hero to get Durant. So now what are the Heat sending out to the Suns that they would even be interested in? So it gets tough. It gets tough.
Now that you bring it up, Knicks would be. I mean, it would be so funny if this is when the Knicks get Durant too, though, at almost 40.
And they trade Bridges back to Phoenix.
That also would be pretty funny. It would be amusing if Durant ended up there. Honestly, if whoever wins with the Knicks, God forever. If it ever happened. That's why they're so desperate. They're like, Jalen Brunson's one of the top 3 players in the NBA. Shut up.
Yeah, these guys are legends forever. Josh Hart's a legend forever, and they've lost in the second round the last 2 years.
Yeah, they're like the one fan base that loved Carmelo.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly.
They're like, we felt fulfilled by the Carmelo Anthony experience. What? Okay.
It is bizarre. I don't know if that's James Dolan or what. From the 936, as we continue to talk about the Rockets, can you break down why Devin Booker would be more valuable on the Rockets than Jalen? I think he's a better player, but not sure he'd be a better fit on this team than Jalen. Honestly, I don't know. I think it's legitimately Booker's a more consistent player. Green has more upside. What do you want? We touched on this yesterday.
Yeah, more consistent by far, and proven in the playoffs.
Yes.
Was the best player on a finals team.
Yep.
In 2021. He also has a little bit more, and this helps if you want to get out of the dependent on Fred VanVleet experience. He can do a little bit more of the ball handling, safe decision making than Jalen Green. I mean, the Magic game was it? Yeah, the Magic game's kind of a bad example because they were out basically all their point guards except for Aaron Holiday. But when Fred VanVleet sits, they're basically guaranteed to turn the ball over 15 times and a lot of times close to 20 times in a game, just whenever Fred VanVleet's out. Devin Booker puts a little bit more of a safety net on that, along with the scoring that he can do. So put him on a team with a bunch of fast athletes too, like the Rockets have. He would be good. It is fair to bring up, like, so you're going to be paying this guy probably in the $40 to $50 million range, give all the Suns picks back, give up Jalen Green, who's making 30. Do you actually come out on top? I think what it'll come down to is Tillman Fertitta's stomach to continue being patient, and a lot of that will depend on how the Rockets look in the playoffs. How, when they lose in the playoffs, because I don't think they're going to win the title, and if they win the title, they're not trading for Kevin Durant or for anybody. How they go out? Do they go out with a team that's just like, they have dudes that are on a different level. Our guys aren't ready. Let's hit the gas on this. Or do they go out nobly, where you believe, like the Thunder back in, I think it was 2010 when they lost to the eventual champion Lakers, where you're like, they lost, but these guys are way better than they have any business being.
Right. And so we will see on that front. And depending on that, that's going to determine how patient or impatient Tillman Fertitta, owner of the Rockets, is. We don't have time to play the clip, but Tim McMahon did an interview with, or not an interview. Tim McMahon was on the Hoops Collective podcast with Brian Windhorst. And he said that of all people, the guy who was preaching patience was Tillman's son, Patrick Fertitta, as far as really rushing things to get back to where they used to be, which is surprising because he, I guess, was the one, Patrick, pressing the pause button when it comes to bringing James Harden back. And I would have assumed that Patrick would be the one pushing for that to happen. That actually makes me feel a little bit better about Patrick Fertitta, especially with Tillman about to go off to Italy to be the ambassador to Italy, which is such a funny story.